All right, now here's a lovely little story we've covered. Most of the time, the small town of Stephenville, Texas, doesn't attract too much attention.
But people there think that they've suddenly got a lot of attention from visitors who come from very, very far away. Stephenville, Texas isn't too big, just about 17,000 folks out on the prairie 70 miles southwest of Fort Worth. Until the past few days, milk was what made it famous. All that changed when several dozen residents looked up and saw a UFO more than once.
It kind of is the talk of the town right now.
Being the front page story and all, Angela has been pretty busy interviewing locals who swear, big as it wasn't from Texas.
It was very intense, bright lights. I keep hearing that over and over and over, and they spanned a wide area.
It was so fast when it took off, you know, and it made not a sound.
Rick Sorrells led a camera crew through the woods to where he saw it. It was up there, above the trees.
And I did just like this, and I could see it. And if you look at the trees, you know, it's right here. I mean, it's 300 foot up, right here.
A pilot and a constable back up Ricky's story of what he saw out there in the woods. The U.S. Air Force says it was just an illusion. But maybe the visitors read what the town posted on its website. If you're looking for a small town community, you found one of the best. Well, some residents are saying today that they saw U.S. fighter jets chasing that UFO.
That's right, but on the other hand, the military said it had no planes anywhere near Stephenville at the time and that it was most likely just a large airliner, not a UFO.
That's what they always say, remember?
That's right. Now, while you're thinking about that, we'll take a short break.
A small town in Texas is abuzz this morning after dozens of residents reported seeing a large, unidentified flying object. Witnesses say the silent object hovered hundreds of feet above a pasture before disappearing into the evening sky. Speculation, of course, has only grown after nearby military bases reported no planes were near that area at the time of the sightings. Despite eyewitness accounts, an Air Force spokesman suggests lights from a commercial planes might have caused an illusion.
Is identified. You might remember folks claiming they spotted those strange lights over their town the night of January 8th, 2.5 weeks ago. Turns out Air Force F-16s were training in the skies and the nearby town of Dublin that night. That's what the military is now saying. Initially, they said they weren't around. New amateur videotape released.
Oh, really?
On your screen, which believers still say
wow.
supports their claim.
Does that look like an F-16 to you?
I don't know. Listen here.
Changed shapes basically before our eyes when we was watching it and disappeared, so it probably has the ability to do what it pleases.
Well, the man who shot the tape doesn't want to be identified. That's a problem. He gave the tape to a friend who says something is going on there.
That looks like something you can buy in Spencer Gifts.
Yeah?
You know, with all that neon, crazy color, motion, action. But maybe it's a UFO.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Could
Do you
be.
know? The truth
Look
is
like
out
a heat
there.
seeker or something.
Further updates to follow.
And I looked, something just caught my attention. It was straight out that way, and it was pretty low.
It was about an hour after sunset last Tuesday. Leroy Gayton noticed a strange light outside his home near Stephenville.
I saw two red glows. They glowed, and then they kind of faded. They glowed again. And I kind of looked, so I thought, boy, that's just not right.
Dozens of others out here in the country, including a pilot, a teacher, and business owners, report seeing the same thing. Gayton is a county constable.
The second that it went off, the other one appeared.
By the time his 8-year-old son Ryan came outside, the red glow had turned bright white.
Yeah, it was like going like right there and then going like that. It looked like it was faster than a jet.
But they were like a weird color. They were really, really bright. And I saw them doing this and just kind of moving around.
Then they say the lights jetted across the sky.
And then they just shot off this way.
They just took off like that way.
What was so astonishing is the speed that this thing took off. I mean, it took off so fast that it was like...
The Air Force says it had no planes in the area that night.
It wasn't an airplane. It wasn't a meteor because it wouldn't have been bouncing around, and it wasn't just only one light.
So what was it? Gayton says it was like nothing on Earth.
I'd never seen anything like that, never.
You Usually in this quiet Texan farming community, nightfall brings clear, starry skies. But something very strange has been happening in Stephenville of late. Several dozen people, including a pilot, county constable and business owners, insist they've seen a large silent object with bright lights flying low and fast in the sky. The obvious conclusion? It must be a UFO. Angela Joyner is a reporter at the town's newspaper and has received loads of emails about it.
It was very intense, bright lights. I keep hearing that over and over and over, and they spanned a wide area.
Stephenville town officials insist there must be a logical explanation, but the locals swear that it was larger, quieter, faster and lower to the ground than an aeroplane. Ricky Sorrell says he saw it from these woods.
And I did just like this, and I could see it. And if you look at the trees, you know, it's right here. I mean, it's 300 foot up, right here.
A spokesman for the nearby Joint Reserve Naval Air Station says no aircraft from his base were in the area on the night of January the 8th, when most people reported the sighting. But he did say the object may have been an illusion caused by 2 commercial aeroplanes. About 200 UFO sightings are reported each month, mostly in California, Colorado or Texas. 14% of Americans surveyed last year say they've seen one.
Well, remember that UFO sighting over North Texas? There were several of them. Well, the U.S. military now says, no, it wasn't a UFO. It says this was all just flight training. Officials with the Naval Air Station down in Fort Worth, Texas, say their F-16 fighter jets were conducting training flights over Stephenville, Texas. But you see, the problem is that the military denied that this was fighter jets earlier. Now they say, well, those earlier denials, those were wrong. The truth is, we were conducting a training mission. But dozens of people who reported the unidentified objects with the bright lights flying in the sky also reported seeing fighter jets chasing the UFO. So what is the truth? We don't know.
What do you think, Amanda?
What? I believe the military.
Shocker! Hey, BYA, we'll get back to it tomorrow. Hammer at FoxNews.com. And the folks down in Texas are still convinced.
Yeah.
Just so you know. And they will tell us in minutes on our email system.
Yes, I look forward to hearing from them because we love our friends in Texas. We also love John Scott and Jane Skinner.
That we do.
Thank you. I say Martians. That's my vote.
Yeah.
Duly
Quite
noted.
an opening, guys.